Right, so first and foremost, our wall drill. I'm going to show you this as stickmen because my stickmen are the best in the business. Okay, so there's our line, right? Now, if we take this as the hip, okay? When we're accelerating, which way do we want to go? Forward, exactly. So our primary role of displacement is this window here, right? So we want to create effective horizontal displacement, yeah? So get as far away from where you started. And that is going to be from the back of the heel. So a simple who said about coaching, what to coach, how to coach, right at the beginning? One of you guys said. But anyway, simple cue to look for, simple thing to watch. Is that triangle getting bigger off step one? Okay, that's why you always use lines. That's why you always use pitch markings to help you, because is that person getting into that fancy Showtime shot? Remember be the hashtag? Remember that? That ruined so many athletes, right? Because they're all trying to get into that position and you see all the things and no one's showing you how they got there. Bloody disaster. So, what happens here as well now, okay, if I want to go that way, what are some of the things that can happen? He only has one leg. We need to put his other leg in. We need to put the leg that's out in front in. All right? Now, what I saw is a lot of finished positions like that. Physics. Remember this. Which way are we trying to go? Forward. Which way is that sending us? Down. Yeah. Opposites. It's physics. It's never simple, right? Everything's opposites. So it's actually sending us this way. It's always needs to be in front of the centre mass. Exactly. 100%. Because what is that going to do to the pelvis? I'm going to show you on the wall, but I wanted to break this out to you quickly. Because what is that going to start doing to the pelvis? Pushing it back. What's it going to do to the shoulders? Stand us upright. Therefore, where do we go? Backwards. Ultimately. Okay? Ultimately. Right, so velocity in physics is a constant, right? And this is I had so much fun writing that module because it was I mean it took me about 3 months to put it all together properly, but velocity is a constant, and in our education we don't really get taught physics very well, right? You get Newton's 3 laws and everyone's well that's fucking great, but what does it look like in the real world, right? So a velocity is a constant, so therefore if in absence of any other force acting on something that has a net velocity, it will continue to move in that speed. That's how, like, where there's no gravity in space, that's why space works, okay? So, you have to blow your mind out to think about this. We are trying to create as much constant, well, you can't create constant velocity, but as much horizontal net force, because the whole time we are combating that gravity. The whole time it's pushing us down, okay? And that is why a lot of people will end up in that position, because they're trying to beat gravity. Because we know if we have to move, we have to go up. We have to overcome it. It's a subconscious thing. So therefore, when you tell someone to go forward, you scratch your head and go, why are they lifting their leg up? Okay, because it's physics. So therefore, if we are starting to move and trying to do that, but then actually creating, it's called force pairs, okay? So where we've got this guy here, we've got force pair of gravity, okay? Then we've got force pair of direction of force, okay? We need to create as much net positive in the direction that we want to go. So we have to beat the net gravitational pull there, okay, and we have to increase this force moving us in the direction that we want to go to create a plus whatever Newton that is. It comes back to the law of acceleration. Okay, so when we are actually adding a rotational force, just think of this lever arm, it's called free body diagrams. Think of what the net velocity okay, of what this limb segment is going to achieve. This is why drill stacking is so important, and this is like the real crux of it here for you, is because, remember we go joint segment. This is where lots of coaches fall foul, because when we blow this out, we blow this this angle out here, okay, we have two counterintuitive forces that we've got to overcome. First and foremost, this big thigh, all right, I always think of it as like one of those turkey legs you get in the shop. All right, this big thing is creating rotational force up that way. Okay, so it's pushing us back. We've established that. But everyone forgets the foot. That foot ends up there because it's the opposite of this. So therefore, we're doing that. That's why people cast. That's how people cast. So what the common cue is, leg back. I hate that cue. I hate that cue. Why do you think I don't like that cue? Because if you go back, which way do you go? Back and down. Okay? It's fine, because in that wall position, it's like put your leg back and down. But what it does is it makes an assumption that we are at rest. Remember I said, imagine the center of mass is the balls? It makes the assumption that that ball is not moving. So for every step, if you go right down and back, down and back, down and back, you're actually decreasing your ability to accelerate.
I thought down and back is good because it's like the law of reaction.
You're right. Down and back does do that, but which way are we trying to go? Yeah. So what would be a more appropriate cue?
Just back.
Hit the ground. Just hit the ground real hard. Because we're getting this fold. The fold that you want to see, all right, is this. So on contact, and I've got some, when I show you step by step, I've got a good example of this. But what you want to see on contact, all right, so when we're accelerating, okay, is as this angle widens and this angle widens, that doesn't move and that goes there. That's what you want to see. Okay? Then when we've found that position, right? Because when you're running at speed, you have to beat speed. So in your brain, if I'm coaching right down and back, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Okay? You have to play on the extreme of what that will do, especially in competency. If someone is struggling with retraction and you're focusing on retraction, then they're a higher learner. So you can have a discussion about what you want to see and then re-anchor the cue to a different meaning. But all of a sudden, if you're like right down and back, you are literally decreasing acceleration. All right, at a rate of meters per second. All right, so does everyone understand that? Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, cool. So, what I wanted to do quickly, ankle stiffness. Come on, Connor. Come on. Right, so if you come and stand over there, because I want to get this. You're on candy camera, mate. So, with the ankle stiffness piece, it's really important. So, can you remember that position, 2 hands on the wall? Can you get yourself in there, please? Little calf raise for me. We're nice and a little bit more. A little bit more. Nice. Head up. Cool. Shoulder blades together slightly. Good. Happy days. Double chin. Double chin. Back, 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 back. Come into my hand. Come back, back. There you go. Good. Nice and strong. So this is where the first piece of modeling you can do to create stiffness. Resist me. Resist. See all these postural forces? Right? We've got some work to do. Okay? Right? So that's first piece of tension in the system. Right, now I want you to do that calf raise for me and push into the wall. All right? So now he's orientating where he's going. So before we create any dynamic movement, okay, we have to create static movement now. You have to create static movement, okay? Because on ground contact, what do we want the ankle to do? Stay still, don't we? We want it to provide a springboard to extend the knee and the hips simultaneously to throw our center of mass forward. So, where you did the bounce, I really like it. But a piece in between could be that static force pushing and exposing to force pushing. So we use yielding isometrics into overcoming isometrics before we create dynamic movement. Okay? Because then that's, you can use all the proprioceptive feedback, you can use all the teaching and stuff like that. So we're going to get yourself back into that wall. All right? Now, what I want you to do is go into that squat position for me and get that calf raise up. Come on. Cool. Now bend your knees a little bit more. Now I want you to push into that wall as hard as you can. Now try and push the ground away from you. Go on. See what happens? Do you see the calves? Bingo. Right, now lift one leg off the ground. Right, cool. Now put it down. Now change legs. Can you see what's happening? Can you see the movement that's happening all the time? You can relax now. It's really difficult to hold tension whilst changing legs in those positions, isn't it? Yeah, you feel everything in your body. So imagine what that is like, how difficult that is doing, putting one foot in front of the other, accelerating. Yeah? Yeah, it is.
Out of breath.
So that's exactly what I'd ask, and I'd say that to an athlete. So do you think that that's a really good way that we can help you develop your ankle stiffness and acceleration?
Yeah.
Cool. Would you be happy doing it all the time?
All the time?
Yeah, every day.
Sure, if it's going to work.
There you go. Exactly. That's literally the answers that you're looking for, straight away. So when you're finding that, you use the yielding and overcoming isometrics. Okay. So all we will do then is we can anchor bands in different ways. One of the things that when we're looking at dynamics of effort and the way that we apply force to sprinting, it's difficult because I use bands as a last resort. Okay? The reason bands as a last resort is because they possess kinetic energy. So imagine doing an acceleration, a banded acceleration, and you're cueing down and back. What way is that putting that athlete? Down and back, because it's over exaggerating what the band is doing. Okay, so it's really difficult. I would rather spend more time focusing through here, and then we can regress the height of our initial projections, because then we can change the way that the force is being applied. All right.
See the yielding isometric is not when he was just folding in a calf raise, not pushing. That's yielding, and it
Yeah.
when he's
Overcoming is when he's overcoming a load, loosely. So now, with the projection piece, that's a really good point of discussion, because how do we develop projection when we're still on a wall? Okay? It's really difficult, because then think of the gap that we go, and we're going to do stable to unstable in a second. Think of the jump that we've gone from. We're in that position, and then we have like a little bit where we're actually moving in time and space to the fixed position, but there's a piece before. How far did I say that we need to move the center of mass roughly? Yeah, it's about 0.5 meter. I don't have a clue, but that's what I say. That's the intent, right? We've got to move it 0.5 meter to get there, right? So, think of some of the drills that you can apply into a stack that will give you that. All we're looking for is the ability for the hip and knee to flex and extend whilst on the wall, and the ankle move. So once they learn it there, you can just stick a band around it, and it's basically like doing dynamic effort hip thrusts. You can do them, you can do one leg, then you can start working the exchanges, then you can work off the wall, then you can work into it. So you're slowly like drip feeding the association every time. Because then when someone goes here and they go, whoa, it's like, right, back on. Tidy up that front piece, and then back out, and then back in, and back out. Does that make sense? Yeah? Yeah? Because if you can stand over there now. Think about dynamic effort in the West Side method, right? Apply it to your wall drill progressions, okay? It's a really simple, easy way. Because when we're using such as a banded load, it creates an exponential increase on the moment arm, so tenderness response, okay? And you can do it in so many different ways. And remember, we're teaching people to do things fast, okay? So when we're teaching someone to do things fast, first and foremost, they need to earn the right to have the position to handle the load. Then our job is to remove load to allow speed, okay? And so, for example, it's really interesting that obviously it's harder to move faster under a light band than it is under a heavy band, because we rely on overcoming force, overcoming resistance all the time. That's the condition. Think about everything that you do. Squats, bench, everything. I need to push against something, but we don't know how to push against the ground fast enough. There's a huge window of opportunity, and that's why every step becomes a rep. Because for every step, you're accelerating against the ground every time to move yourself forward in space. So when you said, I don't think we need any equipment, you're right, you don't. You don't. You can improve so much speed without any equipment when you understand ground reaction force. That's why I hate force velocity profiling. Because can you tell me that you can create an accurate representation of 20 steps and actually understand force velocity profiles of those 20 steps without logging every step? You can't do it over distances, because I could get to 5 meters in 2.5, you could get it to 3. So it all comes back down to how ground reaction force is changing and impulse is changing step to step. So that's why I say to everyone about force velocity profiling, don't do it, waste of time. Teach them to put one foot in front of the other really well and know what you need to see. All right, good. How did you find coaching with Learn, Load and Execute?
There's a framework like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Know where to progress it, know where to start.
Yeah. And how quickly can you solve problems with it? Can you see how you could run 5 stacks in a session? Because once you get to one piece, then the next problem's going to appear. We even see it with Connor. When we actually start putting tension in his system, there was like 5-6 different problems that started to appear. So then we find the next stack in that sequence, and then the next stack, and you start building. Because then, who heard what I said to him straight away when I needed him to get on the wall? Remember that position I showed you? Can you go and find it again, please? I don't even coach it anymore. Just ask him to do it, because I assume that he knows it because he showed me it. So then it makes your coaching really easy for you as well. All right. So we're going to go straight into unstable to stable continuum.